So you've seen the shift. I mean, we're all looking at a pretty tough reality for sales leaders right now.
It's definitely tightened up.
Yeah, the market's tightened, pipelines are, well, thinner than we'd like, and frankly, deals are taking a lot longer to close.
A lot longer.
And for any organization that really built its foundation on inbound marketing, relying on content and SEO to feed the funnel, the pressure is just intense. That reliance has left teams feeling pretty exposed.
Which is fascinating, right? Because it's a feeling of losing control when you're just waiting on these external, unpredictable sources.
Exactly.
When the market tightens, when buyer behavior changes, if you're just waiting for a form fill or a click, your whole organization becomes vulnerable to things you can't influence.
A Google algorithm update, a shift in the economy.
Precisely. Anything.
Absolutely. And that's really why our mission for this deep dive, using the insights from the sales experts, is so focused on one critical argument. Outbound strategy is not just coming back.
It's more than that.
It's the essential driver for sales success in this unforgiving environment, especially right now in Q1.
That word control is just key here. In a tough market, resilience comes from having levers you can actually pull on demand. We have to strategically move away from that passive inbound model.
Open weight model.
Yeah, exactly. And embrace the controllable, predictable engine of outbound. That's how you ensure stability right from the start of the year. It's about taking the pipeline back into your own hands.
Okay, so let's unpack this timing advantage. The sources lay out a very clear strategic window, and it closes fast. We all hear about Q1 resets, but what makes the current market tightness amplify this effect?
Well, the current environment makes that Q1 window more critical than ever, just because the buying cycle is so much more cautious now.
Okay.
In a slower market, the window for review is often really limited, highly structured. So buyers are simply more reachable now than they will be in, say, Q2.
So what's happening inside their organizations?
Think about the corporate calendar. January is when the whole machine just churns. Budgets reset. And crucially, that freeze on last year's unspent money is finally lifted. Strategies get finalized. Priorities get locked in.
And they're looking back, right, reviewing last year's performance.
They are actively reviewing last year's supplier performance, and they are under a mandate internally to set their own early wins for the year.
And the research confirms they are open to new suppliers because they're in that
strategic review phase.
That exact phase. Procurement's starting their annual vendor reviews, and the decision makers, they're available. They're focused on planning, not yet, fighting fires.
Which is why the material is so clear on this. Your reps need to be in their inboxes and on their phones now.
Right now.
If you wait until mid-February or March, you've missed it. You've missed the peak. Those budgets are often allocated, and those internal strategy docs are locked down for the next 9 months.
And that timing advantage is compounded by what your competitors are, or, let's be honest, what they aren't doing.
That's the behavioral gap. It creates this huge opportunity for a disciplined leader.
This is a huge, almost counterintuitive insight from the research. We just assume every sales team hits the ground running on January 1st. But the data suggests a pretty significant lag.
A huge lag.
Most sales teams, they start Q1 slowly. They're onboarding, doing year-end reviews, updating the CRM from last year's chaos.
Or they're stuck in internal planning meetings that just drag on and on.
And that slowness, that's your competitive advantage. A disciplined, professional outbound cadence right now in January. It just cuts through the noise because the market is quieter.
The sources call this the vacuum effect.
Right.
Decision makers, who might be flooded with messages by March, are actually accessible now. They're less guarded.
So you reach those key buyers before your competitors even wake up, and that gives you what the sales experts call the first position in the deal.
Getting that first conversation, that first meeting, sending that first tailored proposal, that initial engagement, it completely defines the terms for every competitor that follows.
You're actually shaping the framework the buyer uses to evaluate everyone else.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, outbound is really about building controllable momentum. Inbound is passive. It's unpredictable. You wait for the lead. You have little say over quality or timing. Outbound, on the other hand, is an active machine that you can control across 4 critical metrics.
Which are?
Volume, targeting, frequency, and follow-up. These are things a sales leader can dictate, measure, and optimize immediately.
No marketing budget approval needed.
None. You just need managerial discipline.
That focus on volume, brings us to a really specific, and I'll say intense, recommendation from the source material. It's the metric itself. The research suggests that if reps add, 30 to 50 targeted outbound actions a day,
Every single...
they are creating opportunities on demand. That's a high benchmark. Does the research talk about how leaders can maintain that volume without, sacrificing the quality of the targeting?
That's the critical question, because low-quality volume is just noise. The research is clear this has to be targeted volume. It's driven by high-quality intelligence from your CRM.
So it's not 50 generic emails.
No, absolutely not. It's 50 hyper-specific, research-backed actions. A mix of personalized emails, targeted LinkedIn messages, strategic phone calls. The sales experts argue that by mandating this pace, you force reps to be efficient. You move them away from procrastination toward actively creating a pipeline.
So it's a mindset shift
Yeah.
from passive waiting to active inventory creation. You're building an insurance policy against the market. And that early activity, it sets the rhythm for the whole year. Which brings us to the compounding effect.
It's definitely not just a Q1 fix. High-performing teams explicitly use Q1 to set the pace for the entire year.
How so?
They aggressively front-load activity in January and February. That results in more conversations, more qualified meetings, and, crucially, more mid-funnel movement that carries them forward. The finding is unambiguous. Teams that win Q1 win the year.
But explain that mechanism. Winning Q1 isn't just about closing the most revenue in those first 3 months, is it?
Not at all. What they're winning is time and insulation. They're securing high-value pipeline that's insulated from the mid-year volatility that always hits.
Okay, so when that summer lull hits,
The Q1 team is already closing deals they sourced months ago. Meanwhile, the slow-starting teams are panicking because their funnel just dried up. You remove the excuse of a slow start, and you build that crucial, repeatable sales rhythm, the habit of high performance.
that's powerful. It's about establishing the habit and creating a buffer.
Precisely. And for any executives listening, this focus on controllable activity de-risks the entire year for the business. Outbound provides stability, predictability, resilience,
So if inbound suddenly slows down,
which it does in volatile markets. If the market gets tougher, you are protected. The data shows teams with a mandated outbound floor see 40% less variance in their month-over-month pipeline generation compared to inbound-only teams.
40%, wow.
That predictability is your executive firewall. Teams with strong outbound muscles, they always have options. They can turn the spigot on when they need to.
That makes perfect sense from a risk management perspective. Okay, let's shift a bit, because the sources make this fascinating argument that outbound doesn't just generate revenue, it generates intelligence and it shapes your culture.
It absolutely does.
Let's start with messaging. How does direct outreach act as a faster feedback loop?
It's a brutal, rapid feedback loop. When reps reach out directly, the source says, weak messaging gets exposed fast.
There's no hiding.
No ambiguity. A prospect either sees the relevance immediately, or they hang up, or they reply with a really sharp objection.
And that tight feedback loop is the fastest route to market clarity for the whole company. You're getting immediate real-world reactions, not, internal committee consensus or A/B testing data that takes weeks to come in.
You're getting specific, tangible feedback on objections and pain points that your current value prop is failing to address. You can refine your pitch, your personas, your value proposition, literally in real time.
And that sharpened clarity just filters out to marketing and product instantly.
Think of it like this. Your marketing team might spend 6 months crafting the perfect white paper. But 1 week of disciplined outbound can tell you if the core premise of that white paper is fundamentally flawed.
That rapid exposure doesn't just stop with a message, does it? It goes right to the core of your team's capability. The sources call outbound the truth serum of sales.
I find that concept so compelling, the truth serum. It immediately shows you who truly belongs on that high-performance journey.
Because it's hard.
Because outbound requires grit, creativity, resilience. You immediately see who can drive a conversation, who can create opportunities from scratch, who can build trust fast, navigate tough prospects, and most importantly, who stays consistent through all that resistance.
Yeah, in a world where sales managers sometimes confuse activity metrics with genuine competence, the outbound process, it gives you undeniable data. It shows you who's just going through the motions versus who has the real skill of opportunity creation.
And for sales leaders looking to build a scalable, high-performance culture, Q1 Outbound gives you immediate, undeniable data on talent. It's a trial by fire that reveals who has the necessary skills, for the fundamental difficult work of selling.
Not just closing.
No, creating.
Yeah.
This is crucial for figuring out who needs training and who should be leading the charge in Q2.
And finally, that outbound activity, it strengthens the data engine of your business, your CRM. Good outbound isn't just activity, it's intelligence gathering.
It creates a virtuous cycle. As reps are making those 30 to 50 targeted actions a day, they have to actively update key data points that are just impossible to get through passive inbound.
Like what specifically?
They're discovering and logging precise buying windows. They're mapping out stakeholders accurately, not just guessing the VP of X, but identifying the actual budget holder and the internal champion. They are noting competitor presence and clarifying immediate current pain points.
Which means you're moving from having a contact listed as just VP of Marketing to knowing that Sarah Smith, VP of Marketing, has an active RFP closing in May 2026, and her primary pain point is system integration.
That is verified ground truth.
That's
Exactly.
correct.
And the result, the sources promise that by March, you don't just have a full pipeline. You have a cleaner, more accurate sales engine.
Right.
That level of data hygiene alone gives you a tangible, measurable advantage going into Q2 and Q3. You're not guessing anymore. You're operating from verified facts.
So let's wrap this up. What are the most actionable steps for sales leaders based on what the sales experts have highlighted? We need to leave listeners with a roadmap for today.
3 things stand out for right now. First, front load your activity. You have to mandate a disciplined, targeted daily action pace. Those 30 to 50 actions are non-negotiable. That's how you create opportunities on demand and set the rhythm for the year.
Okay.
Second, prioritize rapid messaging refinement. Use that tight outbound feedback loop, those immediate rejections, those specific questions, to instantly expose and fix weak messaging across the team. Don't wait for a Q2 marketing review. Fix it this week based on real buyer data.
And the final piece, the strategic long-term win.
Use every single Q1 outbound interaction to rigorously clean and update your CRM data. Focus on buying windows, accurate stakeholder maps, competitor intelligence. This disciplined data hygiene builds that critical Q2 and Q3 advantage. It turns your database into a genuine asset.
So if you are serious about your revenue goals for 2026, you really have to double down on this foundation now. Outbound momentum starts today in Q1. You want your team making calls, sending targeted outreach, and following up relentlessly. To dive deeper into these strategies for achieving real sales success, we encourage you to seek further guidance by visiting thesalesexperts.com.
And finally, let's leave you with this provocative thought. It builds on that idea of outbound as the truth serum. If Q1 outbound reveals the true, unvarnished performance capability of your team, showing you who can and who cannot create opportunities from scratch, what hidden dependencies or systemic training gaps might this intense scrutiny expose in your sales organization? Things you need to fix before Q2 begins.
So think beyond the activity metrics.
Exactly. Look at your infrastructure, your training programs, your coaching, your fundamental hiring profile. Are they actually built to support the grit that real outbound requires? That's the real deep dive for your leadership team this quarter.